Hello, and welcome to the Park Life Podcast. My name is Mike. I'm a travel agent that specializes in all things Disney. Whether it's Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Alani, or hopping on a Disney cruise, I can help you with your questions, and I can certainly work with you in booking your trips. Today is episode 41 of the Park Life Podcast, and we're going to focus on the topic of split stays at Disney World. What are they, and the pros and cons of doing them? If you've ever done a split stay, I'd love to hear your comments on whether you enjoyed it, what you liked about it, what you disliked about it. And if you've never considered doing one, would you consider doing one after hearing everything that I share with you today? Let's start with what a split stay is. It's basically, as the term references, you are splitting your vacation into multiple locations, multiple resorts. And I say multiple because you could do a two resort split stay. You could do a 3 day, 4 day. Depending upon the length of your stay, you could do more and more resort stays as a split stay vacation. But for today's discussion, we'll focus on just doing two resorts. Now, in order to do a split stay, while it's one vacation for you, it's two reservations as far as Disney is concerned. So you would be making two reservations, almost basically booking two vacations in one trip to Disney. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. You're not booking one reservation with two resorts. You are making two separate bookings with Disney World. Now, in doing so, you have to remember in doing that, you're making two reservations in my example. It's treated as two different stays and two different trips as far as Disney is concerned. You're going to pay a deposit on both of them. Keep that in mind. We'll talk about some of that in my pros and cons of doing a split stay. Let's dive into what those pros are. I always like to start with the happy side first. So, diving into the pros, the first is you're getting to change the vibe of your vacation or change the scenery of your vacation. I'll use a pretty simple example. You're going to stay at All Star Sports for 3 nights, and then you're going to stay at the Polynesian for 3 nights. Clearly, the vibe and the scenery, the atmosphere is going to be very different, All Star Sports from the Polynesian. So, you get to almost feel like you're taking two vacations in one trip. If you're like me, I'm always super excited and giddy when I'm on my way to my vacation. Getting to experience that twice in the same trip is a pretty cool deal. So the vibe and the scenery can really enhance your experience. Secondly, it can stretch your Disney dollar. Now think about this. If I were to go down and stay at the Polynesian for 6 nights, it's going to cost a pretty penny. But if I did the split stay and I did 3 nights at All Star Sports and 3 nights at the Poly, I'm stretching my dollar because half of my stay is at a value resort, costing me much less per night. So if you've ever had the desire of staying at a deluxe resort, but it's not in your budget to do that for your entire vacation, doing a split stay is a great option to be able to enjoy the experiences of a deluxe resort while also being able to afford the vacation because some of it is at a value resort. That's probably the bucket that I'm in doing a split stay would be for the budgetary reasons. If you're staying at a deluxe resort, you can enjoy the expanded evening park hours at one of the parks on certain nights of the week. I think right now it's Epcot on Mondays and Magic Kingdom on Wednesdays. But please note that those dates or days and parks can vary throughout the calendar year. But if you're doing a split stay and you're staying at a deluxe resort for even a couple of nights, you'd want to craft your vacation around when the expanded evening hours are so you can take advantage of that by staying at the deluxe resort on one of those evenings. You can also maximize the convenience of location of resorts in translation to the transportation to the parks. So I'm going to change my resorts a little bit here, but if I'm staying at the Pop Century for 3 nights and then I'm staying at the Contemporary for 3 nights, I would want to take advantage of the Skyliner for Hollywood Studios, staying at Pop Century, for instance, and Epcot, for instance. Staying at the Contemporary with the monorail, I would want to make sure that's when I'm doing the Magic Kingdom because that's walking distance if I want it to be. It's a short 5-minute walk from the Contemporary to the front gates of the Magic Kingdom. I can also take advantage of the monorail, and I could also take the monorail from the Contemporary over to the Ticket and Transportation Center, often referred to as the TTC, and then take the monorail over to Epcot. So maximizing my experiences through transportation and location is a valuable way to do a split stay. In 2025, all guests staying on Disney property get free water park admission on your arrival day. Okay, so if I was going to go to Disney for a week and I stayed at Pop Century that entire week, on the day I arrive on check-in day, I would get free admission to the water park for all members of my family on my reservation. If I do a split stay, I'm doubling that bonus. On the day I arrive and check into Pop Century, I would get free water park admission on that day. The day that I check out of Pop Century would be the day that I'm checking into the Contemporary, for instance. I would get free water park admission on that day because that's my arrival day for my second leg of the trip, which is a new unique reservation to Disney. So I'm doubling and maximizing the free water park um, promotion. It's really not a promotion, but offer that Disney has in 2025 for their guests. It also can allow you to stack promotions that Disney's offering. Okay, so if Disney's offering a ticket promotion, I can buy my tickets for the entire length of my stay and put that onto the one resort reservation, getting the ticket promo. Can then take advantage of a room promotion on the second leg of the trip. So, for instance, if Disney's offering, and I'm making these up, but they have a ticket promotion with a 4-night stay, for instance, I can get the ticket promotion tied onto my 4-night stay at Pop Century, but get tickets for, say, 7 days at the parks. And then I could do my second stay at the Poly, and maybe they have a room only promotion, and I could get that on that side of it. So maximizing the promotions through the two reservations while also taking advantage of now 2 free water park days really stacks up the value for you. Now, 2 reservations means 2 deposits. Okay. And if you buy your park tickets for the entire length of your trip, you're getting the best value out of the ticket purchase. I'm going to make up some numbers here. If you do a 4-park ticket, it might come out to about $150 per park day for that ticket. If I do a 7-day park ticket, it might come out to be $110 per park day. The more days you add on to your park package, the less the cost is per park day. So doing a split stay, you would want to buy a park ticket package for the entire length of your stay, um, so that you're getting the best value for that. The deposit amount you pay, if it's a package, so resort and tickets, it's a $200 deposit, regardless of where you're staying on property. If you're doing a resort only stay, which is how this split stay would be, the resort only stay, that deposit is your first night's stay plus tax. So, to minimize the amount of money out of pocket when you first book this, you want to put your park tickets with your deluxe resort so that that portion of your split stay is the package. You'd have a $200 deposit. Then your room only stay at Pop Century or All Star Sports, a value resort, 1 night stay there plus tax is probably going to be close to $200, $250, depending upon room rate and tax. Conversely, if I did it the other way, I'd pay $200 for my stay at Pop Century or All Star Sports with the tickets, and then I'd have a 1 night stay plus tax deposit for the Contemporary. That could be $800, $900,000 depending upon the price for the room at that point in time plus tax. So putting your park tickets with your deluxe stay and your split stay minimizes the amount of money you have to pay up front. Something to keep in mind. Let's see here. Um, Obviously, you get resort variety in doing a split stay. Getting to enjoy all the things that Pop Century has to offer at the resort is amazing. Then getting to go to the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian or wherever, Animal Kingdom Lodge, and getting to enjoy the experiences and things that they have to offer, it's two vacations in one. It really makes a very different and unique experience. And like I said early on, I get super excited on trip day of a vacation. Well, I would get to have two exciting days because of the newness, uniqueness, and variety of the second resort. Um, One thing to comment before I get into the cons of doing a split stay. If you are staying in the Disney bubble in a Disney owned resort, and I say it that way specifically because there are some resorts that are inside the bubble that Disney does not own. Swan, Dolphin, the Swan Reserve, and Shades of Green are in the bubble, but they are not owned by Disney. So if you're staying at a Disney owned resort in the bubble and you're doing a split stay, Disney will transport your luggage for you from your first resort to your second. You have to pack up, obviously, take the luggage down to Bell Services, luggage services, and tell them you're doing a split stay and that your next reservation is at Resort X and that you want them to transport your luggage free of charge. Great value, great option, and it's a great offer that Disney provides. Let's get into the cons. It's two reservations. So I have to book twice. I have to make two deposits up front. That can be a con for some people who are on a tight budget that maybe they have the $200 for the deposit and then they plan on paying over time or saving up their money to make final payment. Well, now I have two deposits, so I have to save up more money to make that initial reservation with the two deposits. This to me is the biggest con, at least for me personally. We're going to do just the two split stay, two resorts. I have to pack to leave my house. I'm unpacking at my first resort. I'm repacking before I leave my first resort. I'm unpacking when I get to my second resort. I'm repacking to go back home. That is a lot. So to me, that is the biggest con. I know a lot of people love their vacations. They hate to pack, they hate to unpack. I'm not even going to mention laundry because that's a whole different animal in and of itself. But keep that in mind. Now, depending on what your split stay looks like, if you're just doing one night or 2 nights at one resort and then a longer stay at the other, maybe your main suitcase stays packed the whole time until you get to your second resort and you have a smaller travel bag size of a day or two worth of toiletries and clothes and things like that so you can minimize the impact, but you're still packing and unpacking multiple times. Dining is the next con. Now, when you book a Disney trip, you can book dining 60 days out from check in day for the length of your stay, up to 10 days. The problem is, in a split stay, you have two reservations. So, on 60 days out of arrival day of my entire trip, I can book dining for those 2 or 3 days worth of that reservation. I have to wait until 60 days out of my second check in date, the second stay of my split stay, to book dining for that portion. So you're having to get up twice. You're having to cross your fingers that you can make your dining reservations, that they have them available, knowing that you check in on June 1st to make this up and check out on June 4th and check in on June 4th. Compare that to somebody who checks in on June 1st for an entire week stay. 60 days prior to June 1st, they're booking for their entire stay. You're booking for 4 days of your stay on 60 days prior to June 1st. And then on June 4th, you're doing it all over again. So that can be a con. Keep that in mind. The inconvenience of check in and check out can be a drain at times, depending upon if there's complications with your bill, if you need to settle up with something, if you needed something specific on check in that you needed to go to the front desk and ask for. It's just multiple check ins, multiple checkouts, extra time being spent in doing that. That can be a con for you. If you're traveling with littles, and when I say littles, for me, I'm thinking like under the age of 5, packing, unpacking, packing, unpacking, that in and of itself, whether you have littles or not, can be a hassle. If you've got little ones who like to make a mess, who like to run around and be little kids like they should be, It's added stress for you and having to pack, unpack, pack, unpack, pack. It's also a disruption in their routine. So you've already taken them out of the routine leaving on vacation, which can sometimes be affected, can affect a child. They get comfortable in those first 2 or 3 days finally at the resort you're staying at. And now you're going to hop to the second resort on your split stay. They got to start all over again and trying to find comfort and balance. So keep that in mind with your littles. If you're doing a shorter stay, maybe it's a 3 day weekend trip, doing a split stay may not make the most sense. So that in and of itself makes it a con. Again, the pack, unpack, repack, the time of transport between resorts, all of that can factor in. And I should mention that the transport between resorts. So I told you early on that Disney will transfer your luggage for you if you're staying in the bubble in a Disney owned resort, which they will absolutely do. But there's no transportation from resort A to resort B directly. So you would have to possibly take the bus to the Magic Kingdom and then take the bus back to your second resort. So just keep that in mind as another con, the transportation getting you to that other resort on your split stay day. And also, when you check in, they typically say check in it's 3 p.m. You may get a room earlier than 3 p.m., but typically not. And there's sometimes you may not even have a room ready at 3 p.m. So when you check out of resort number one and then do your split stay to resort number two, you may go several hours that day without a resort room. Revert that back to traveling with littles. You're not going to have a room for them to take a nap until 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Likewise, you may not get your luggage for several hours. Disney's not moving it immediately when you drop it off and tell them that you're going over to Resort B. They have a process that they go through. They only have so much transportation and transferring luggage. They've got multiple resorts that they may have to be doing that with. And so staffing comes into play. So you may go several hours without having your luggage, as well as several hours without having a room. So keep that in mind. Um, Overall, I think the idea of a split stay can make for a lot of fun if you plan it right. And that's another one of the cons. Planning a Disney trip can be a stressful time for people. If you're now doing it with multiple resorts, multiple reservations, the stress can be overwhelming at times. Working with a travel agent can help relieve some of that stress, but I'm not going on the trip with you. I'm not unpacking and repacking for you. I'm not getting you to the other resort. I can't solve the problem that you may or may not have a room for a few hours. So if stress gets to you, if anxiety gets to you, and you've never been to Disney in particular, um, doing a split stay might be a lot to handle in that very first time you ever go down. I'd probably tell you to take that first trip staying at one resort. Get your feel of Disney altogether, and then we can look at doing split stays. So there's a lot to look forward to in a split stay. There are some negatives to doing a split stay, as I covered. I've probably missed some cons. I've probably missed some pros. If you've done a split stay, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever thought about doing a split stay? I'm going to be honest, I've never done one. The pack, unpack, repack, unpack, repack is probably the sole reason why I've never done one before. Um, I don't mind packing, but it's not what I look forward to doing. I try to do it as quickly as possible and be done with it. Having to do it while I'm on vacation is something that I don't look forward to. I don't look forward to packing when it's time to go home from our long vacation. I don't want to do it in the middle. So, being totally transparent, I've never done a split stay, but I think there's a lot of value in doing that. I think about the budget aspect. If you can't afford, which I can't afford to do a deluxe stay for a whole week. But being able to do value resort for a few days and a deluxe resort for a few days is something that is a lot easier on the pocketbook and is definitely a reason why I would consider doing one. I think that wraps up episode 41 of our split stay, what it is, pros and cons. Again, I'd love to hear from you on your experiences in doing one. Which resorts did you do your split stay? And what was your strategy around picking those resorts to do a split stay? And if you've never done one, do you have questions that I didn't answer here? please let me know. I'd love to help you out with that. We do these Park Life podcasts on the Park Life Podcast YouTube channel, as well as the Park Life Podcast Spotify channel every Monday. They usually drop at about 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Great opportunity to listen if you're driving to work, taking the kids to school, doing your meal prep for the week, whatever it may be. Um, these are on Monday mornings. We also do a live Park Live podcast on this YouTube channel on Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. I answer your questions. We talk about any Disney news, any rumors, any new promotions. And then we have a little fun at the end with some interaction between myself and those on the live podcast. Love to have you join either one of those. In addition, if you want to get in touch with me directly, you can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, and on my private YouTube channel, Mike_Disney Travel. You can also find me on Facebook at Mike's Magical World Vacations. I would love to work with you and your family on your next Disney trip. I'd also love to just help you out if you have questions. So reach out at any point in time. I think that wraps up today. As I always like to say, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have an even better tomorrow. And when you wake up tomorrow, remind yourself it is a great day to be alive. That's it for this week. We will see you again next week. Bye, everybody.